Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and you're watching Glenda's Dragons Den. Just wanted to say thank you for being here, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the rerun or recording. I just want to thank you for being here every week. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And for those that do not know, uh, my subscriptions don't cost you anything. So if you subscribe, you'll get notifications when I schedule a streaming, no matter what it is. Today we have a phenomenal guest, Steve Colbern, and he is a chemist, a material scientist with over 20 years of industrial experience. And the best is he is currently working in the area of carbon nanotubes and working um, in the industry and open up a nanotechnology company. So let's welcome Steve. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Great to be here.
Great, great. So tell our audience all about yourself.
Well, I'm a chemist and material scientist, and I have over 20 years of industrial experience. I've worked in the fields of biotech, silicones, and more recently solid gel and carbon nanotubes and nano materials in general. And I started a company called Neutron Star Technologies a few years ago, and I was the partner of Dr. Roger Leir from 2008 to 2014, and analyzed several objects that Dr. Leir took out of his patients, including one that came out of my left second toe in 2008. And we uncovered some startling findings. We found out that these objects are nanotechnological objects that are far beyond civilian technology, and
Mm.
that they give off radio signals and have carbon nanotube electronics. And they're very sophisticated devices connected to the nervous system. And so I'm here to talk about all that.
Okay, great. So how did you discover you had one yourself?
Well, when I've always thought that I might be an experiencer, but
Hmm.
didn't have any direct proof. But when my ex-wife and I started having children, the activity increased, and we had a lot of strange stuff happen. In particular, one incident not too long before I got the implant occurred where she said she saw an object that was like a sheet of metal on end, scanning her from head to toe in bed at night, and it was giving off a lot of colors. And she said it looked pretty, and but then after it had been scanning her for a few minutes, she started getting scared and tried to wake me up. And she said it turned into a red beam of light and shot out the window.
Mm.
And the minute I started waking up, it shot out the window. And then she said, "Steve, an alien, an alien." And I go, "What are you talking about, an alien?" And she described what happened. And we had a lot of other strange things happen, like strange lights, like little laser beams coming on at night, or dim lights that could seem to come from nowhere, and strange noises at night, footsteps on the roof, invisible people in the backyard, um, a glow coming from the kitchen one night, and I tried to go out to investigate, and it disappeared. Things like that, and then one night, right after my daughter was born, my wife was staying over at her parents' house, and they were helping her with the baby. And I decided to go over to the house and water the plants and do some maintenance work. And got tired and called her and told her I was going to stay there that night. And I went out in the backyard about 9 p.m. and found these two huge raccoons in our avocado tree. Um, One of them was maybe as much as 100 pounds. It was big. It was like the size of a large dog. And another one was not too much smaller that was accompanying it. And I didn't even know raccoons got that big. And it was strange. They seemed semi tame, and I put some dog food in a bowl and gave it to the animals and observed them for a while they ate it, and then went to bed and uh, woke up about 8 o'clock the next morning and had a pain in the side of my head and a stinging pain in my left second toe,
Hmm.
and I just knew that the aliens had been there in the middle of the night, and I had tumor implants. I don't know how I knew that, but that just was in my head. And I found two puncture wounds on the bottom of my left second toe, and checked the puncture wounds with an ultraviolet light, and found that they lit up bright green.
Hmm.
And a few hours later, that green changed to bright orange, and then it disappeared I think about a day or two later.
Hmm.
And there was this weird stinging pain coming from the toe, and the pain got worse over the next 4 days, and then to the point where any weight whatsoever put on that toe would give it like an electric shock type pain that went all the way up my leg.
Hmm.
It was really annoying, and looking back on it, I think that was the nerve cells growing into the device, because these devices are connected to the nervous system, and I'm the only person I'm aware of that has had an implant put in as an adult and actually know what date it occurred and everything, and kind of was able to experience the beginning of the process.
Right.
And so I was pretty agitated by this, as you might imagine, and
Hmm.
I thought, wow, this alien stuff is probably really real. I mean, I thought before it was probably real, but I didn't have any other explanation for some of the stuff that had happened to me. But it's hard to really do anything without really believe it all the way without proof. Yeah, I'd had another previous incident I couldn't explain a few years before that, where I was driving down Interstate 40 at night, and about 9 o'clock, about 10 o'clock at night, and looked at the clock. It was 10 o'clock. Then I looked at the clock. What seemed like 30 seconds later, and it was one a.m.
Hmm.
And I went down the road and stopped at the first exit with a convenience store. And this is out in the middle of nowhere, by the way, near 29 Palms and Ludlow, California. And I stopped in Ludlow and looked at their clock just to make sure, and it really was 1 a.m. And I had no explanation for that incident besides the possible alien abduction. But anyway, this whole thing started to be confirmed. And after I got the implant, I went to Dr. Roger Leir, who worked a few blocks from where I worked in Camarillo, California, and um, told him I had a possible foreign object in my toe, and he looked at it and said, "Well, go home and see if it goes away, and come back in a few days." And we made another appointment. I came back, and this time I told him that it was about a possible alien abduction, and I don't think he believed me at first, but he gave me a prescription to go get it X-rayed.
Okay.
And the prescription said give a copy to the patient, and so I went and got it X-rayed. They gave me a copy, and I knew I was going to see something in that toe, but when I did, that changed my life forever. Um, like I tell everybody, there's a heck of a difference between um, strongly suspecting that something like this is happening and knowing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And there was
Mm-hmm.
an object in my toe that looked like a small bent piece of wire on the X-ray.
Wow.
And when Dr. Leir saw the X-ray, he got very excited and wanted to schedule a surgery to take it out. So I agreed to that, and um, it was we removed it I had it removed about 7 months later, and He didn't have anybody to analyze the object, so I offered to analyze the object, and he gave me a piece of it, and I took it to my work at the time, who had a lot of they had a lot of state of the art instruments, and
Right.
I did a very thorough analysis on it, and it turned out to be a sophisticated nanotechnological device. And I wrote a report on it and self-published it, and people talk about it to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that it didn't get more attention, but I think
Uh,
I was to be trying to cover that stuff up.
yeah, and it isn't as widely discussed as it is now. Um, I want to ask you a very interesting question. I don't know if you ever thought about it. Do you think those extremely large raccoons could have been aliens?
Um,
Because
they
they
were
can.
alien. I think they were alien related. I don't think they
Yeah.
were aliens. I saw them walking down the street a couple days later, so I know they were real and they were probably animals. But
Right.
I remembered under regression later that they have um, animal facilities aboard alien motherships, great motherships, and
Right.
they use these animals, from what they told me, to kind of scope out an area of interest before they come themselves. They have the animals implanted, and they can see through their eyes and hear through their ears, and they use them as remote sensing
Right.
instruments before they actually come to the area themselves.
Right.
They
Uh,
use raccoons, and owls mostly for that purpose.
hmm Good selection. Good selection.
Yeah,
Uh,
the eyes of an owl would really be pretty informative at night.
yes. Yes. And no, the reason I ask because I've never heard of raccoons getting that big. I mean, maybe they do, but I have never heard. And that would be kind of scary to me to come out at night and see two huge raccoons in my yard. I would be like, yeah, let's slowly back away. You were brave to even put food out. It's just
I don't scare easy, but and they didn't seem aggressive or anything, but they definitely were big enough to be dangerous if they were
right.
really fired up.
Yeah. And now, Dr. Leir, did you know him personally before this incident, or you just
No,
researched him?
I didn't know him before the incident, but we became good friends and partners afterwards. And it turned out he hadn't really done adequate analysis on 4 or 5 other objects, and I analyzed those as well, and some other artifacts and samples that people sent in to him.
Good, good. So it was just perfect match, as they say. Now, did he at that point then got excited and convinced and started um, removing more objects or finding more objects on purpose?
Well, we were involved in a project to find and analyze and remove alien objects, and we scanned a bunch of people for alien excuse me, recent alien contact and alien implants.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was partnered with them, we did 3 surgeries, including my own. Um, one on me. The first one after I came on board was my own, and then we surgery. I was patient number 15, and patient number 16 was a guy named Ron Noel, and he had an object in his wrist
Mm.
that turned out to be made of an extremely hard, tough material that the metal couldn't be cut by diamond tools, which is pretty much
Wow.
unheard of.
Yeah.
And then there was patient 17. And a movie was made out of that by Jeremy Corbell. You've probably seen it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And now, have you analyzed your chip or your implant
Oh yeah.
in, in your
Yeah.
new company since then?
Have I done what?
Have you reanalyzed it? Have you relooked at it since
Uh,
then?
No, not since then. I did a very thorough analysis on it initially, and I would like to do a couple other tests, but only a couple labs in the country have the instrumentation to do the kind of tests I'm thinking of doing,
Right.
and I've not an opportunity to have access to those instruments.
Yeah, just wondering, because technology here changes day by day. So I was wondering if you had an opportunity. Now you wrote a book. What's the name of the book, and where could we find
The
it?
book I'm in the later stages of writing the book, and it's called Earthbound, a a manual for frequent flyer experiencers, and
Hmm.
it just a general. It tells my story and gives a general background on what the aliens want from us and their agenda, and characteristics of hybrids and uh,
Hmm.
what they do here, and just everything that I know about the subject.
Right. Now, the agenda, the alien agenda. Do you think that that is to harm us, to study us, to help us heal, or all of the above?
Um, well, if they were here to harm us, they we wouldn't stand a chance. Basically, we haven't even seen
Right.
their big
Yes.
guns yet, and we don't want to.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I think they've shown remarkable restraint, actually, with the military shooting at them for nearly 50 years. But they do fire back on occasion. I have been led to believe. There's a book out claiming that this is probably true, that they lost over 400 aircraft trying to shoot down UFOs between 1952 and 1992. Um, and so no, I don't think they're here to harm us. I don't think they're going to do anything unless do anything aggressive unless they're acted aggressively towards first.
Right. Right.
Um, but I think they're here to mine the Earth Moon system for minerals they find rare on their home planets,
Hmm.
and they're here to create hybrids to kind of enhance the human race. And they're, I think, here to help after some sort of major disaster that's coming in the future.
Hmm. Yes. I do believe that the last part definitely, um, because we need all the help we can get. Uh,
They're kind of here to help us transition into a species that's a member of the galactic community as well, I think.
yes. Yes. Um, so with all these findings and everything, all these analysis that have you seen a lot of people with implants or?
Um, Most people that come to UFO conferences have either evidence of recent alien abduction or implants.
Mm,
Um, Most people that are into this stuff are experiencers. I found out that's what my research indicates, and um, probably about between 3 and 5% of the American public have been abducted by aliens at one time or another. Usually the Greys, they do most of the abductions, and uh, perhaps 1/10% of the population is what I call class two experiencers or frequent flyers, and there are people like myself that are from genetic bloodlines they're interested in
mm-hmm.
that get genetically modified further and trained and implanted and are basically part of the alien program to help them with what they need to do down here.
Right, right. So it's basically they help us, we help them, we help the earth and the humans.
Yeah,
Um,
they're very concerned about what the human race is doing to the Earth. They told me
hmm.
that this is a unique planet, and there's only 4 or 5 like it in the galaxy. And
Yep.
this is an important planet for. They didn't elaborate, but this is an important planet for several alien species.
Hmm.
I get the impression it's some sort of wildlife preserve and/or prison planet. The Earth's under some sort of a quarantine, I think.
Yes, yes. And they don't, trying to stop us from doing what other species did, or our pre-human side did to other planets, where complete destruction. The planet is still there and it will recover eventually, but you know,
Oh yeah,
ev-
but unless we blow it up completely, God forbid. I mean, there's no way to do anything to the Earth that it won't recover from
right,
eventually. But
right,
that'll be too far in the future for to help us any.
yeah, exactly,
If,
exactly.
if something really bad happens.
So, tell me if you've had any experience with any implants, or anybody that has come to you with an implant that stands out to you, like, you know, something that was very so new, or shocking. Sometimes, we run into different situations.
Well, I've met several people with implants that move under the skin. That's a little bit on the shocking side.
Mm,
Um, and Ron Noel, the implant that came out of his wrist was uh, the hardest metal I think you could ever imagine. I tried to after we removed it, I tried to cut it in half to get access to the interior so that we could do scanning electron microscopy on the interior and see if there were any internal structures. And I couldn't cut it with most of these things are not that tough. Mine was brittle and actually broke into several pieces on removal, but this one was extremely tough, and I couldn't cut it with wire cutters. And I called Dr. Leir and said, Roger, I can't cut this thing. And so he said, okay, give it to me. I'll take it to the machine shop. And he took it over to the machine shop, and the head of the machine shop tried to cut it with standard tools. Nothing happened. He tried diamond tools, and nothing happened with that. And then he said the guy actually started getting scared because diamond tools will cut any metal, any,
yes,
any normal metal.
yes.
It turned out to be a an iron alloy metal matrix composite with very well dispersed single wall carbon nanotubes.
Wow.
When we finally did get it cut in half with a high energy laser, I did Raman spectroscopy on it, which is a good way to detect carbon nanotubes, and it had the highest carbon nanotube signature
Hmm.
of any of the objects we'd seen up to that time. But it didn't have any visible carbon nanotubes in the metal, so they'd been extremely well dispersed, and that's why it was so strong. Carbon nanotubes are basically the world's strongest known material, and they're trying down here in civilian science to reinforce metals with them, but it seems to be old technology to the aliens.
Right. Wow. Wow. So, tell me more about your experiences as you have gone through the years. Um, I know about the. You just told us about the few implants that you took out with Dr. Lear. Are there any other ones that you have experienced, or any person that you have experienced that where they said, "Oh, my mood has changed, my personality has changed"?
Well, on my with my own implant experience,
Mhm.
I felt subtly different when they put the implant in, and I felt different after they took it out. After Dr. Lear took it out, it's hard to describe. I felt like there was some sort of a governor on my thoughts, perhaps, if that makes any sense. When I had the implant in, and people were saying I didn't look well, um,
Right.
they said my complexion was different.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not sure what the implant was for. I'm speculating that it was a monitoring device, perhaps to monitor things like body temperature, blood pressure, body positioning, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're all tracking devices too, or they can be used as such.
Right.
And,
Right.
with a lot of the implants, they can also implant telepathic suggestions that are hard to ignore because the subject nearly always thinks it's their idea.
Right. Well, especially if it's done in the nervous system, it goes
Yeah,
straight to the brain,
yeah,
and like, oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
These devices are all connected to the nervous system via what they call proprioceptor nerves that are usually used by the body for to indicate body position, which that's
Mm-hmm.
very interesting. And that probably does provide a direct pathway to the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's also often epithelial tissue surrounding the implants, and that's out of place inside the body. Dr. Leir speculated that they were probably using epithelial tissue that they took from these same patients when they made scoop marks. They take skin samples a lot of times. You can see scoop marks on people
Right.
after abductions.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes a lot of sense. Um,
Yes. Yes, it does.
the ones that are not covered by epithelial tissue are usually covered by a very tough gray membrane that appears to be created by enzymes on the surface of the object from the body's blood plasma.
Hmm.
It's
Very,
really conductive and hard to cut.
very interesting. Very interesting. So the body would not reject the implant because it's using its own type of cells or
Yeah, that's correct.
material.
Yeah,
So,
Dr. Lear thought there was a lot of a potential value in reverse engineering this technology for organ transplantation.
yeah, that's that's true. That would be awesome if we could figure that out, and then the person could get any type of organ. It didn't even have to be an exact match.
Right, right.
Yeah, wow, that is. Never thought of that, but that's a great idea there. Um, so, what else can you tell us about you and your work?
Well, lately I'm working on the book, and I'm also that should be out pretty soon within the next few months. And I um, am teaching a class on alien abduction and alien implants, and I've just basically gone through all of my files, and uh, I've just gone through a bunch of stuff I haven't looked at in a while, and made um, presentations on a lot of it on the implant analysis and on reports I've made on hybrids and about uh, general things that people experience in alien abduction and the alien agenda and cattle mutilations, things like that. Uh,
Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, if anybody's interested, I'm going to give you Stephen's email address, and I keep popping in his information, so it will also be in the description, so you could find him on anytime, even if you see this much later. So, what made you decide to teach this class?
well, I think this information needs to be disseminated throughout the world. I think they've got a lot of unique information here that has not been disseminated or published, and I want to remedy that situation, and I want to educate people on this subject, and I think people are tired of hearing the same old thing, and I've got some information here that quite a bit of information here I would say that has not has not been talked about before, and I think that people that take the class will be very satisfied that they're hearing some unique information and perspectives.
Very good. Yes, and I think right now we all have thirst, so we're looking for something new. Even, when there is little pieces of information that they actually let out um, under disclosure, it we all look for something new. It's like a lot of the times they tell us something that most people already had an idea, an inkling,
Right.
or okay, so now you're just saying it, you're finally admitting it, you're finally coming out with it. We already knew this for years and years and years, but now here's the proof. So, what made you? I know you're a scientist by trade and by training and education. What made you go into this? Was it something that you just always only because of the implant you decided to um, just go in that direction, or?
I've just always been interested in science. That's always been my thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I was interested in biology and biotech at first, and then I decided that uh, chemistry was more there were more job opportunities in it, and there were and more was a little bit more exciting, and I finally settled on material science as the thing I really wanted to do for the rest of my career because new materials are basically the backbone of modern technology. Without advanced and uh, high performance materials, you really can't advance technology any further. I mean, there's limits to how far you can go without
Right.
getting new and better performing materials. So I think that's where I need to be at this point.
That's very true. I mean, look at computers and how much they've changed the last 30 years. We used to get these huge computers that needed all these components, and now they're like little chips all are inside, if that. So,
They're down to components on silicon and gallium arsenide chips that are only a few atoms across.
right, right.
We're getting near the theoretical limit if there is one. I think there's got to be one at some point, but um, they're getting close to what they think the theoretical limit is of how small you can make these components.
Now, do you think that once you get a chance to go to these science labs for intents purposes and further analyze these chips and these implants, are these materials that you will be stepping into the future, into the next level?
Well, yeah, I think I'd like what the test I'd like to do or would be using fast atom bombardment to etch off layers of these objects and then do scanning electron microscopy layer by layer to reveal the 3D structure of the object.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the electronics of these objects seem to be three dimensional, and I'd like to show that and do SEM and 3D elemental mapping on each layer of the object,
Oh,
um,
wow.
and that would show beyond any doubt that it's a sophisticated nanotech device, and might also provide some clues as to how to reproduce these things.
Very good. Yes, that would be amazing, because if they could be implanted in your nervous to intervene with your nervous system, I'm sure that these little implants could be used for almost anything at that point. And
Yeah, they're very small too. By the way, the implant that came out of my toe is about 3.5 to 4 millimeters long and maybe about 3/4 of a millimeter in diameter.
mm,
Um, and there there's a metallic portion of it, and that contains carbon nanotube electronics. They have to be electronics because the implant was giving off radio signals before removal, and on the outer part of the metal, there's a layer that's like a biological hard part, like bone or like mother of pearl from the inside of an abalone shell, and similar to that in composition. And there apparently are enzymes in this material also that enzymes and pheromones or chemical cues that cause both the nerve cells to grow into the device, the proprioceptor nerves, and also cause the formation of this gray tough membrane I was talking about.
mm. Now, you removed the implant. Have you noticed if there have been any transmissions since you removed it?
No, in every case, the transmissions cease once the implant's removed from the body. They're also usually magnetized um, with a 10 to 15 milligauss magnetic field, and that magnetic field also slowly dies away after the implant's removed.
Okay, so we could kind of say it was living inside the person
Yeah,
because the
it's
person
almost
was
like
dead.
a living thing.
Yeah.
One very interesting thing that Dr. Leir uncovered after my implant was removed, it broke into like 10 pieces on removal, and
Mm.
he put the pieces in a sample of my blood plasma, and then came back the next day, and the pieces had lined up in their original order, like they were trying to reassemble.
Wow. Wow. That's
He,
amazing.
I got pictures of that.
Oh, that's amazing. That's my hairs are giving me chills there. Ooh.
Another really strange thing I'd like to mention is that
Yes.
one time uh, before the implant was removed, I was scheduled to come to his office for some tests of the implant on camera before it was removed. And uh, he had a film crew come to his office, and I was on my way there, and I went through a this canyon that was between Fillmore, California, where I used to live, and his office in Camarillo. And all of a sudden, the car just stopped, and I pulled over the side of the road, and I didn't have any cell phone service. It was a canyon, and I
Mm-hmm.
had to walk like 2 miles to get cell phone service. And finally called Dr. Leir, and he and the film crew came to pick me up, and we took my car to had AAA take my car to a local repair shop,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, after they repaired it, they said that the car's computer was fried, like EMP had fried it or something.
Mm.
I think that's exactly what it was. And they waited till I was in this canyon with no cell phone reception before they did it, so they might not have wanted me to do that session of tests.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we got to Dr. Leir's office, he pulled my toe X-ray out of a stack of X-rays that he had there, and he he exclaimed something very loudly, and I forget what it was, and I said, "What, Roger? What's going on?" And he said, "Come here and look at this." And he showed me the film, and the lettering from the outside of the envelope that the film was in had somehow been transferred to the developed X-ray film. Where it says like "Do not bend" and stuff like that
Right.
on the
Right.
envelope. All that
Yes.
lettering on the outside of the envelope had been transferred to the film after it was developed.
Wow.
I'm not even sure. I'm not that. I'm not even sure how you do that in theory, let alone in practice. Especially
Yeah.
especially if it was inside a building, in the middle of a stack of X-rays.
And it was just an X-ray of something that was inside of you. So
They do stuff like that once in a while to try to show off to show off their technology, and to emphasize to us that there's not much beyond their capabilities.
right.
Um,
Right.
Another strange thing that happened was one time my oldest son and I were on a trip together um, to Bullhead City, Arizona, and my parents used to have a vacation place down there, and we were going through this desert valley right before the Colorado River Valley, and I go, "Look, Garrett, there's a UFO," and it was bright. It was hovering over this valley, and I pointed it out to him, and he goes, "What are you talking about? There's nothing there." And I go, "How can you not see that? That's as bright as the planet Venus." And he swore up and down he couldn't see it, and so I said, "Okay, fine." And then further down the road, it got dark, and he said he was seeing objects that I couldn't see.
Hmm.
So one other person told me that too. That sometimes they can visualize themselves to one person and not another on the same incident.
Mm-hmm. That's I've heard a couple of people say that. Like two could be camping and one could see everything and the other one is like, where? What are you talking about? Like, go back to sleep. You're dreaming, or you're hallucinating, or you're too tired, or you had too much to drink. Is usually That's
Yeah,
like the
I can think of a few ways they could cloak themselves, and that I think that
Mhm.
they use. But as far as having one person see it and another not, I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is that they open one's third eye and they could see it then with their physical eye, and the other person's blocked completely. So the only thing I could think of. But what is your theory as far as why they appear to some people and not others?
Well, I don't. I think they usually don't do that, but they were just showing us that they can. I think they were
Right.
showing off their capabilities. I guess they would probably use their telepathy to selectively alter the neural patterns of one person's brain versus another to not see it.
Right. Now, when you had this implant, you said that the first the few days, it was kind of glowing, and um, did it glow later on, or did it just completely die down?
Well, there were two puncture wounds in the bottom of my left second toe, and
Mhm.
at each puncture wound was a circle of fluorescent dye,
Okay.
and it they glowed bright green at first, and then perhaps 12 hours later changed to orange, and then it faded away entirely.
Okay.
They
Now,
didn't glow except under the UV light.
okay. Now, had you experienced this with other people who had implants, or as far as you know, you're the only one that has?
I'm the only one I know that had the opportunity to examine the area right after an implant was inserted.
Right.
Um, but I would imagine that that's probably pretty standard. But
Mm,
we'll have to do more research to find that out for sure.
right. And do you think that that's like an antibiotic, so to speak?
It might
Uh,
be,
you
yeah,
know, just to make sure that you don't reject or you don't get infected in that area.
yeah. That's probably about right. Yeah.
So tell us more.
Well, like I say, I mean, the uh, puncture wounds were there, and there were circles of UV dye at each puncture wound. And I forgot to mention that the puncture wounds healed within hours. They healed unnaturally
Wow.
fast.
Wow, that
Um,
is.
that's true with a lot of wounds that you might get during alien abduction. They heal
Mhm.
extremely quickly. The aliens have a beam or field that, like Dr. McCoy has on Star Trek, that causes wounds to heal probably hundreds of times quicker than normal.
Mhm. And sometimes TV is telling us the truth and we don't know it. So that's the way I look at it in a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
They,
I think that Star Trek and shows like that also got it right about the galaxy being a crowded place, and
mhm.
a lot of the technology they're showing is stuff the aliens really have. And I think that I've concluded from that uh, a lot of these science fiction shows are probably based behind the scenes on experience or reports.
Very good. Yeah, I
For one,
have thought of that.
I don't think Hollywood's that creative to come up with all this stuff on their own. For one thing,
And if they are, they're wow. Okay, whoever wrote it, super genius there, because they're writing pretty much the truth. It's just that I
yeah,
think they give it to us slowly because they believe that humans cannot handle full knowledge.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think that they should have just come clean right after Roswell or sooner. I'm sure Roswell wasn't the first crash they've had, but um, the government does have a point about some people can't handle this, but at the same time, self deception does one no good, and people can only panic for so long before they have to accept the situation. And but you know how the government is, they're in the business of keeping order. If even 5 or 10%, which is about the percentage I think truly couldn't handle it, uh,
Hmm.
riot or don't go to work or whatever, then they'd have problems on their hands, and they don't want that. And a big part of the reason they're keeping a lid on this too is because they want to control the alien technology. They don't want to have to admit that it exists, and dole it out to us, and they want to keep all this stuff in their sole possession, and so
Hmm.
that's the main reason they're doing it, I think.
That's it's. I mean, in some sense, it's understandable because I'm sure that that's how they are able to keep certain countries safe and all that. But um, I don't know. I think that we need to just get it out here and I mean, look at cell phones, right? I believe cell phones originally started from some type of alien technology.
Yeah, the cell phone communication technology, cell technology, and even the integrated circuits that they're based on are
Right.
basically gray technology that they recovered from crashed UFOs. If you've read the Day After Roswell, Corso in the book, and I think every word in that book is true, by the way, points out that we got integrated circuits, fiber optics, body armor, night vision, and several other things from reverse engineering alien crash debris.
Yes, I do believe so. It's very hard to think that we just came up with that out of thin air. Had to have been
Yeah,
something that we could examine and study and like you said, reverse engineer to it.
yeah.
Um,
I found out that they were actually trying to miniaturize vacuum tubes right before the Roswell crash, and then right after the Roswell crash, they started heading more into transistors because uh, with integrated circuits, you have to use transistors in order to make that possible. Vacuum tubes won't cut it, so um,
right.
that convinced me that Roswell was responsible for uh, coming up with integrated circuits.
Hmm. And so, what else would you like to share with us?
Um, well, I'd like to share that there's hybrids among us, alien gray alien hybrids. A big part of the reason that they're doing the abduction program is to create hybrids between them and us. They, I think, originally wanted to create beings that were basically grays that looked human.
Hmm.
They had to put so much alien or human DNA into them to make them look human that they basically have come up with humans with some of the gray abilities. Um, but a lot of them are living among us now, and I remembered on a couple of my experiences seeing some of them um, being given uh, cars and money and told where to go, and I just have reason to believe there's at least thousands living in the U.S. alone right now uh,
Hmm.
among us. And
Among us, for sure.
there's a couple books out on it. I forget the names of them, but
It's now. Do you think it's only the grays that we have hybrids?
I think the reptilian aliens also abduct people, but I don't know nearly as much about them. Um,
Right.
Supposedly, there's a race of reptilians, lizard people that
Hmm.
are strong and have big green scales and are about 7 feet tall, and that actually are terrestrial. They're from Earth that survived the age of reptiles and live underground now.
Hmm.
And they're supposed to be allied with Draco reptilians that are ET reptilians that have wings and look like basically like demons from the Bible. And they are supposedly not too fond of humans and sometimes eat humans and abduct people for reasons best known to themselves.
Hmm.
As I say, I don't know nearly as much about them, but I believe they are. I believe they are real, but I don't know much about them.
Right. Right. I mean, I do believe there are a lot of races of aliens, and
Yeah,
I, you
definitely.
know,
Yeah.
from my experience, the grays that abduct people are usually because they do the grunt work. So they take the humans up to whatever ship they want to to they got orders to pick them up and
Yeah.
deliver them up there. Um, and from my experience, has been not just for the hybrid program, but also to try to heal the human. You know, because there's certain humans that have been put on this earth with a certain purpose, and they know that. So they were trying to make sure that those humans are capable, healthy wise, and all that, and mentally wise and emotionally wise to carry on their path, their journey, their job. Um,
Yeah, their medical technology is very impressive.
right.
They can heal pretty much anything,
Mm-hmm.
and they're pretty much hands off most of the time. But they don't want their experiencers dead or disabled, so
Right.
they'll sometimes heal people if they're in danger of dying or being disabled to the point where they can't do their jobs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's been my experience. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people with different experiences, and unfortunately, some have not been so good. I have been very blessed that mine have always been positive experiences that I can remember. Let's just put that caveat out
Yeah,
there.
you're in the alien program. They do a lot of really invasive and painful tests on you when you're a kid. You
Hmm.
get somewhat better treatment as an adult, paradoxically, but that's the way they work. And the Greys are an alliance, by the way, of several, I think it's 7 different Gray like species. Um,
Hmm.
and they told me that they come from several planets within 100 light years of here, one of which is Zeta Reticuli 4. I think the government's talked about that a fair amount, or whistleblowers have talked about that a fair amount. And
Hmm.
another one I hear is 61 Ursa Majoris 3. And interestingly enough, there's a group of science fiction stories where a bunch of hostile aliens come from that solar system.
Hmm.
And
There you go. So,
Dr. Leir thought that the gray was the endpoint of any humanoid species that has had technology for a very long time.
mm,
I
okay.
think the grays that abduct people, I think, got the way they are by overexposure to radiation, overuse of transporter technology, and overuse of genetic engineering mostly.
Mm, mm. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
The army thought that the grays they recovered at Roswell were genetically engineered for long distance space flight, and they may have been correct about that.
Mm, yeah. That's because I could imagine that, you know, they have to go through so many different atmospheres and so many different um just galaxies to some degree, or universes, that every place has a different atmosphere, every pressure, every some may, like Earth has this type of air, and they're probably not even used to this oxygen that we have here and all
Well, they definitely need oxygen, but they they will not they will not die in low oxygen environments or in vacuum nearly as fast as a human would.
that. Right. Okay. Very interesting. Is there anything, we're coming towards the end of the show, is there anything else that you want to share?
Um, well, I'd like to share that the moon is not what it appears. The moon is the strangest moon in the solar system,
Hmm.
and I think it was moved into the orbit it's in right now. It can't possibly be a coincidence that the moon just perfectly covers the sun during an eclipse. Um, it's the moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, but it's 400 times closer, and
Hmm.
that can't be a coincidence. And some of the Apollo seismic results were very interesting in that the moon rings like a bell for hours after something hits it,
Wow.
uh, and they actually either turned off or classified the data on the Apollo seismometers a few years later because it scared NASA so much. The data actually indicates that the moon's partially hollow. Um, The surface rocks are pretty dense, but the surface gravity is only a sixth of a g, and when you do the calculations, it turns out that the moon is most likely 30 to 40% empty space, and the data indicates a metallic or semi-metallic shell approximately 50 miles thick with extensive caverns below that.
Hmm.
And I think that the moon may have originally been a natural object, but I think it was moved to where it is now, and I think it's been mined for so long that it's partially hollow at this point.
Very
And
interesting.
the Greys own the moon. That's why we never went back. They told us to get the heck out and don't come back without special permission. And they have a large base on the far side. They're in the middle of the far side where they do a lot of spacecraft assembly work and mining work.
Hmm.
It was photographed by the Apollo astronauts actually too.
Wow, that's very interesting. I knew that um, about that being hollow. I knew that part. I didn't know
That
that they
that
were.
is absolutely true, and that's why astronauts back then had to have top secret clearance because they didn't want them talking about all the stuff that they'd seen out there, and they saw plenty up there. Believe me,
No, I
there's a
am
lot,
sure there's a lot that we don't know about.
there's a lot of
And
structures on the moon too.
right, mm, it's probably stuff that we may never know unless we get to that point where we could actually travel there. But
Well, that's
it's
hopefully going to be occurring again fairly soon. I think they must have gotten special permission from the aliens to have some limited travels there because the public is getting kind of suspicious about why we're not doing something now that we did 50 years ago.
right and so close. We send all these things all over the place, and right there, it's so close, and we don't go. So, yeah, of course, there's definitely questions, and they don't want people. They don't want humans questioning things.
No, no, and they can keep this narrative going a lot longer if they send a few people up there just to prove to people that the landings weren't a hoax, and b there's no aliens up there, nothing to see here.
Right.
They can just show limited views of the moon, and keep this fiction going a while longer.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I want to thank you, Stephen. This has been great and very insightful. All your
Thank you.
knowledge and your experiences, and I want to thank our audience. And before I do that, I do want to have you come back whenever you write that book.
All
When you
right,
finish it and
sounds
you
great.
publish it, and I want you to come back and tell us more about it. And I want to thank our audience for being here with us today. Check him out. The links are all in the description. And that class sounds very interesting, people. So don't
Yeah,
be
you won't be disappointed if you sign up for my class. I
there.
guarantee.
There you go. You'll get all the facts in detail. Now
In
it's just,
detail. You can ask me anything too.
and there you go. Something open book.
I'll answer any question during class.
Open book there. So I want to say thank you very much. And as always, to my audience, please like, share, subscribe. And again, subscriptions don't cost anything, it's completely free. This is just so we could all learn, we could all step out of that box, and we could grow and evolve. And thank you. Bye.